Welcome to Educate, Inform, and Challenge. My name is Teresa MacLennan. I'm the Executive Director of the Women and Children's Shelter of Barrie. We are very thankful that you are with us here today. Our show is about the lives and experiences of women. We talk about gender equity, violence against women, opportunities for women in leadership and decision-making, and really just the lives and experiences of women from all walks of life. We are so thankful that you are here with us today. We do want to caution our listeners that we may be talking about some sensitive material today. Please be very mindful of your own wellness and your health. Think about your self-care. If you need to take a break from our conversation, please do so. Your wellness is vitally important. And before we begin and we talk to our wonderful guests today, we do want to thank and acknowledge our Indigenous community. Thank you so much for allowing us to be in this space, on this land, to be able to have these conversations. We thank you so much for your guidance. Thank you. I am thrilled, and I'm really glad that our viewers are going to be here for our show today. We have two wonderful guests, Sash and Ash from Born Legacy. Welcome, women. I'm so glad to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. The honor is truly ours.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wanted to point out, I love the softness in your voice. It is so
soothing.
It is. You definitely are made for this.
You know what? So for our viewers, I just hope you can feel the love, because you know what? We are sisters in the work that we do in supporting women who've experienced any kind of violence. And, you know, we always hope that our viewers are going to learn a lot today, that we're going to challenge our thinking. But I really want the viewers to just sense how women in the community, like these two fabulous women, Sash and Ash, are partnering with sister agencies. They are using their voice to bolster the work of other agencies, but also the voices of all women. And so we hope you feel the love today, because I certainly feel that it's an honor to speak to these two women. So we're going to dive in. Why don't we start to talk about Born Legacy? So you are the founders of Born Legacy. Talk to us about that work that you do.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa. So we are Born Legacy, and we're only a small piece of Born Legacy, because Born Legacy, you know, it started out with this vision that we were just going to teach and educate and inspire people in the community. And it has grown into such a beautiful movement that has really supported our mission of growing a community of people who inspire each other. And so while we facilitate and lead a lot of these movements and these programs, we've watched as women from all walks of life have come together through Born Legacy to connect and support and uplift each other. And it has been absolutely incredible. Our vision for Born Legacy really came from the fact that, you know, like you said, we come from a lot of experience of having gone through gender-based violence and addiction and everything that those walks of life really entail. So having that experience, we really resonate with women who are still going through those spaces. And we know how hard it is to transform your mindset to get somewhere different in life. And so we wanted to, through our own, you know, process of personal development, give back to those communities to show people, hey, we figured out a very effective way to get from point A to point B, and let's come together as a community to really grow and thrive together, because you don't know what you don't know. And as women being stuck in those places of having been abused and manipulated and, you know, abandoned and just, you know, feeling like there's nothing else for them or that they're not worthy of anything more, why would we ever try to strive for something more? So if we can show up and say, hey, we felt this, we've been there, and this is how we can get to this next space, it's so powerful. And then for people to collectively just come together to do that, it is just absolutely beautiful. So that's kind of what we do in Born Legacy.
What a great introduction. I think you've covered it all. So I think what I'd like to do is to circle back and talk maybe a little bit more about where the motivation came from based on your own experiences. Because I think that any woman, any person listening to you today, that will inspire them, and what they'll see in you is hope. So Talk to us about your own experiences and then how that moved into Born Legacy.
Yeah. So like Sash, touched on, we do come from a background of a series of destructive paths and, a lot of addiction and seeking attention in very unhealthy ways, coming out of addictions, coming out of violence, coming out of sexual abuse. There's so much to it. And, when Sash and I first met, we met in a trap house, which is where people buy drugs, sell drugs, or do drugs. And we connected on a very close level because we recognized each other and both saw something in each other. And, she had saw me and I had a black eye and she's like, what happened? And I had lied and covered it up, and
I called her out.
Yeah, she saw through that because she was very familiar with that life and understanding that she's been there. And so we immediately had a spark of connection. We didn't really talk a whole lot, but over time we built up trust the more that we saw each other. And that was probably not even the darkest parts of our life. We met before we really hit our darkest moment.
Yeah.
And through our journey, as things got worse, we kind of steered off on our own, and we really came back together at a point when we had both sunk to our lowest. Sash was giving birth to her daughter. I just had a near-death experience a week apart from each other, and we both realized that we cannot continue on the paths that we are on, because she didn't want her daughter to grow up in the environment she did. She did not want the patterns and cycles to continue in her daughter's eyes and life. And for me, I realized I had a second chance at life and I need to do something about it. And I got myself here. As much as I didn't make the accident happen or make the abuse happen, it's our responsibility on how we move forward and how we handle and respond to it. And we realized we got to do something about it. And the only person that's going to change our life is us. And until we take action and start to do something about it, things are just going to remain the same or continue to get worse.
Because we are a product of our environments and our conditioning growing up. So for myself, I grew up in poverty. My mom was a single mother on welfare, 3 kids, not a lot of support. So we grew up in very toxic environments. I was exposed to a lot as a child that children should not be exposed to. And it shaped my perception of who I was. It created my self-image and my image of what life looked like. So as I fell into, toxic patterns throughout my life, it was normal. I didn't know there was anything different when, I watched, a lot of violence in my surroundings growing up. So violence was just something, it came, and this is something that I really want to touch on, is that there's a lot of stigma around abuse. And this can be a very touchy subject for people, because when we are in this space of being abused, we are 100% the victim. And we are it is a very scary place to be. But when you come out the other side, a lot of the times, and don't get me wrong, there are exceptions, but a lot of the time in our experience and from the experience of women we work with, it does go both ways. And I know for me, as much as I have been abused and taken advantage of and manipulated in some terrible, terrible ways, I was also contributing in a lot of ways too, because number one, I was not setting boundaries for myself. Number two, I had no emotional intelligence. So I was also reacting out of violence and manipulation and control and all those same things that were coming back on me. But I didn't see it because I was just in a space of reaction. And one thing that Ashley and I have really discovered along our journeys is that we're all human beings and we're all figuring it out as we go. And oftentimes we are so hurt that we go through life responding to our situations, men and women alike, where we're lashing out on each other out of distrust and insecurity and fear. And it's a pattern that needs to really be broken on both ends.
Yeah. And how those reactions, the insecurities, the jealousy, that all comes in. And as we go through life and we're experiencing different things and the way that we're perceiving different things that happen to us throughout our life, our belief systems get created. When we believe that we're not worthy, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, we
can't do better.
right? We adapt these belief systems, and then we go through life and they continue to get validated over and over and over again. And when we can recognize that the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see the world coming out of the experiences is very vital in how we're going to move forward. That is when the walls go right up. That is when, we get tiptoey around different things. We categorize people in different ways, and then we classify each person that we see as the same as the last person that we dealt with. And so then that is going into a new relationship, viewing them in the same lens that you just came out of. So you're going to recreate a cycle. Mm-hmm. And until we can recognize our belief systems and build a self-awareness, we're only going to continue going down those downward spirals, doing the same thing over and over and over again, until we can recognize, get in control of that, start to change it, because everything comes down to perspective. Until we can shift our perspective on something, and it opens up an opportunity to heal.
And own responsibility, because as much as it may not be our fault what happens to us, we do have to decide how we're going to move forward, how we're going to learn from it and grow from it and heal from it.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? You've in such a short period of time, you've provided this incredible wealth of information and knowledge to our viewers, which is fantastic. And I want to dive into it. And we are going to be heading into a quick break, and we're going to circle back to the conversation. But I really do just want our viewers to hear and pick up on something that you said that I think is very, very important. Is that even though women, anyone is being abused, and there may be a power imbalance, there is still an element of control within that person, and also an element of resiliency. And what we hear all the time is that women still do find resiliency, even though they might be living in abuse. They know how to maneuver through that situation. They know how to control the situation, right? So I think that is just really key, because it does also let any person who's being abused, who's listening right now, know that they do have choice, and know that they have strength, know that they have resiliency. And so we're going to dive into that so much more, because I want to talk to you about where your resiliency came. And at what point did you say enough is enough, and I'm going to take control of this more for myself? But how you actually did that, I think, is really key. And I'm sure that that's what translates to Born Legacy, and how you've developed this program to support people now. So viewers, please stay with us. Come along in this wonderful conversation. We're going to learn some more, and we're going to dive in real deep when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Educate, Inform, and Challenge. We are really blessed today to be talking to Sash and Ash from Born Legacy, and we're having a really great conversation about their own personal experience and really how that has motivated them and created this incredible initiative called Born Legacy. I want to circle back in our conversation. You mentioned that you were in a cycle, a pattern of unhealthy relationships, some maybe self-destructive kind of actions and behaviors, but it took a while to get there. Before you finally made the decision for yourselves to change your life and take a look at that, what was it that kept pulling you back into those same patterns and behaviors and relationships?
Yeah, that is a really great question. It's something that I think is often overlooked, because we're so focused on, logically what we're supposed to do, right? And sometimes the emotions are so overwhelming. And what we've found with a lot of women, and it has also been our personal experience, that a lot of women get stuck, and this could go for men as well. I'm not going to be biased, but I'll speak on the behalf of women for now, that we tend to get trapped in these cycles of abuse because we see the soul of our partner and we see the goodness in them, and we hold on to those beautiful things that we see in them. And it's important to, yes, recognize that no, that person isn't the devil because they make bad decisions and they're abusive, and as much as it's not acceptable, it doesn't mean they're a terrible person. And we know that because we feel their soul. They're going through life reacting on emotions that they don't understand. They just don't have the intelligence to properly deal with. But it's so important when we're being victimized to understand that as much as it might not be that person's fault that they're so angry and they're so this and they're so that, we still need to make a conscious choice on our part to know that it's not our responsibility to fix and heal them. In fact, we can't fix and heal them. And we need to set higher standards for ourselves, because two toxic people, and let's be real, if we're staying in an environment like that, we're getting something out of it. It's meeting one of our needs. So if we're staying there, we are as much responsible, right? I'm not saying it's that easy. It's not easy at all, but we have to understand that we need to be the ones to take control over our lives and step aside. And if that person really, really loves us the way we feel they do, then we can go off on our own separate healing journeys and maybe come back together if it's effective and healthy. But two toxic people cannot heal together because it is hard enough to do on your own. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. And I love that you touched on the fact that there is usually something holding us there as well. Be not just the love that we see in them, but we are being fulfilled in some way, whether it's a financial need there, maybe our partner is financially taking care of us. I know for me is when things were good, they were really good. We traveled, we partied, we got to, hang out with celebrities. Like, we did some incredible things together. And there was so much toxicity, and it takes two to tango, right? The other person may be the abuser, more powerful, but how are we with our words? How are we manipulating them, controlling them, our jealousy and insecurities, tying them down, holding them back? I know for me, like, anytime my partner wanted to go anywhere, I was so insecure. I was right there with you. I got to be with you, because I didn't trust him, and a lot of that trust, yes, he deserved the distrust because of things he did. And a lot of it was my own insecurities from past experiences that I brought forward into that relationship. So we have to recognize, why are we actually being held there? What need is being fulfilled? And we need to recognize that if we're relying on someone financially, if we are loving the adventure and the fun in the relationship when it is there, if we are, whatever that need is, we have to realize that we can still obtain those things on our own. And we are powerful, resilient people. We've proven that to ourselves over and over again by staying in those destructive patterns. Our mind is brilliant. We have survival techniques that allow us to get us through those times. But it's really until that pain outweighs the pain of changing, or the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change, that's when something is going to shift. Is you have to feel that pain of staying in the situation you're in so deeply that it's going to drive you to, like, I know I need something different. And it's so important for us to realize that we also don't need to get to that point to change. Yeah. We have to just recognize, if I stay in this relationship, if I stay on this path,
this is
where am I going to end up? Maybe dead, in a worse situation, hopeless, not having any sort of light to our life. We have to recognize that we can get to light, we can get to a better place without having to experience a severe amount of pain. We just have to associate where our future is going to go.
And anything, I think this is so important, anything that has ever made you feel or believe or think that there's nothing better for you is just a negative belief that you picked up somewhere down the road. There is better. and there is more, and you only get one life. Don't spend it surviving. You deserve to thrive. You are God's highest form of creation, and whatever you believe in, you have such limitless potential that you are restricting from yourself by staying in such a suppressed, victimized space. There's so much more to life, and it's scary to step towards that. It's the unknown, and if you've never experienced anything good beyond that, why would you ever think it's possible? But faith and fear both require us to believe in something that we cannot see, so choose faith over fear. Why believe in some fear of, something that's not even real, that could happen, fear of the unknown, what's next, what's going to happen, can I survive? Step into faith and say, what happens if I do survive? What happens if I do thrive? What happens if things do turn out? It's just a matter of mindset, right? That we really need to take responsibility and switch that pattern in our mind.
I feel like this is the essence and the core of what you're doing with Born Legacy. And so talk to us about what does the program look like, and how do women become involved, and what would they expect if they become involved?
So we've actually taken a recent pivot where we've been doing a lot of work in the community, working with women on an individual basis. We're starting to take a little bit more of a systematic approach now. However, with that being said, we're still going to be launching some other things coming up. And right now we have this cool thing happening in our private Facebook community where we're doing live coaching once a week, where women can come in and just ask questions and get any kind of support that they need in an open community, because the masterminding principle of people collectively coming together is so powerful. So I would say, the things that we really thrive on.
Sorry, just to add to that, they are not on camera. We're on a live. Their comments come in through the chat, just in case you want to drop in, but you don't want to be seen. That's how we're navigating that.
It's whatever your comfortability level is, absolutely. But with that being said, it's very important. We are really looking for people who are ready to take responsibility over their lives, because if we stay in the space of victimization, nothing can change, because we're waiting on people to save us, and that's not going to happen, right? We have to make that conscious decision. We might not know how, but we're there to pave the way. This is a community effort. It's not about us teaching and leading. It's about us coming together, because we still go through our own challenges. Healing is a journey. We've been on this journey for a long time, and we are still confronted every day.
It's just new layers, right? It's just that our pain and our challenges now are something that we would choose any day over where we were, right? Totally. But it's a process, it's a growth.
Yeah. So it's really, again, it comes down to vulnerability, transparency, responsibility, community. And we just come together to align with our truth, take back our power, and, start to design a life that we really want to live.
Yeah, definitely. Really encouraging that it is a process, and things are not just you're not just gonna wake up and everything is different. It's a series of new habits, new actions, new choices, a new belief. And if you keep walking down that path, you're in a completely different place than you were. And sometimes it's, we want that change right away, which is why it takes commitment. It takes dedication. It takes recognizing that you're going to fall, you're going to make mistakes over and over and over again. But that's the only way to learn and grow. We have to fail forward. We have to shift our perspective on what failure is. Failure is just that you're trying, you're seeing what's not working, and you try something different. Yeah. And it's continuing. The resiliency gets built by continuing to get back up over and over and over again. Mr. Les Brown always says, if you fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And it's so true. It's like, if you can just see that, the fall, it's okay. Like a baby falls down so many times over and over and over and over as it's learning to walk. But does it ever stop trying? No, it continues to get back up over and over and over again until one day it's saying, Mommy, I'm walking, I can walk.
And then they're running and riding bikes. So push yourself to grow.
Right.
So just a quick question about becoming involved in, that kind of online forum that you have, that anyone can come in and just really listen and take part. Do you have any initial conversations with them prior to that? Or is it really just, come on and listen and then take what you need at wherever they're at that time?
It depends on the person. If they want to reach out and have a conversation, we are so about that. We believe in personal connection. We believe in, if we don't resonate with you, there's somebody else out there that will. And so we really love to connect with people. They can come on. If they don't know us, they can just come watch our stuff, listen.
We have a YouTube channel now too. If they just want to like get a feel for us, dip their toes on, it's open for everybody, regardless of where you're at. It doesn't matter. There's something for everybody.
And that's great, because I think even as you've talked about, even for your own lives, it's a journey. And, we can kind of take 2 steps forward, 1 step back from time to time, and then 5 steps forward and 1 step back, right? And you always hope that the longer and the more dedicated you are to focusing on yourself and your life, those steps forward become bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And I also just want to say that I think that the work that you're doing is very much part of a continuum in terms of services for anybody who has unhealthy patterns in their life, who have experienced abuse. And it's very complementary to other services that are in our community. And that is really the network that we always try to create, is that there are almost like a menu of services that people can look and say, you know what, that really speaks to me, that really fits for me, right? And I really see this incredible piece of this puzzle that you are now in Born Legacy, and what you're offering and creating in the community. So if someone wants to know more and they want to become involved, they might have a little bit of fear, what is the best way for them to get connected and to find out more?
Yeah, so I would say definitely start following us on Instagram, Born Legacy _coaching. And Facebook, facebook.com/Born Legacy Coaching. I would think that would be a really good place for somebody to just start to get familiar with who we are, what we're doing, the kinds of conversations we're having, the teachings that we are sharing.
Yeah.
And then if anyone's really, more serious about taking a step forward into the work, I would definitely just shoot us a personal message
or an email
at info@bornlegacy.ca. That would be a really, really good place.
You can also check us out on YouTube. We have some raw conversations on there, Sash and Ash show. So we got lots of platforms, whatever feels right.
I love it. And I just have to thank the 2 of you. You are eclectic and forward-thinking women who have created something different and unique. And I think it was needed. And so we really just want to encourage our listeners today, please reach out to Born Legacy, check out their channels, have those conversations, devote the time, devote the care to yourself, and they will guide you through that. We are so thankful for the 2 of you, and thank you to our community. Take care and bye-bye.